Hey guys, this is Inkbox here from
up,
Lord Canada, and I'm here with Jaquan, and we have our very first special guest in our podcast, the Inkcaster's Den. We have Alvin from LOREGAINZ.
Mr. Alvin Hernandez. Welcome, and Happy New Year.
What's up, guys? Happy New Year, guys. Thank you for having me on today. Pleasure.
Wanted to start off this year with a banger.
Yeah, for sure. Like, first of all, guys, don't forget to go down to the link in the description. Go check out LOREGAINZ. Go give them a sub. Thanks for joining in as our very first guest ever. We're still kind of work in the making,
Let's freaking go.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah,
All right.
man. Thanks, Alvin. Thank you for joining us today.
All right, Jaquan, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, like, you know, for all those of you guys watching over there, right? Like, if you don't know, like, Alvin is a fellow content creator. I'm sure a lot of you guys, you know, follow him as well. You know, Alvin, tell the viewers, like, what exactly you do.
It's a rundown, but it's going to be a short one. I do content on mostly YouTube. We dabble a little bit on Instagram and Twitter or X, but that's mostly to post what we're doing on YouTube, giveaways and whatnot. But on our YouTube channel, I do live streams with commentary. I also edit videos of my games, and I chop them up to make them nice and short and sweet, and I do commentary over those. So if you're, and sometimes deck reviews and what the meta's looking like, but mostly the gameplay. And I love the gameplay, and that's what I used to watch. So I see a lot of value in it, so I decided to go for it and just post a bunch of content for you guys, and a lot of in-depth, so it's for beginners and for experienced players. I cover a lot of decks, and yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I love that, and I love what you do. Like, I've even followed you, you know, before I reached out, and I was like watching your gameplay videos, you know, just like out and about when I'm like eating lunch or something, and I'm just like watching your live games on Pixelborn.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everything that you do, and don't worry, guys. Like, Alvin's link will be in the bio and all that too, so you guys can follow him.
You're getting that passive view. You know, oh, I'm gonna go eat lunch. I'm gonna go watch Alvin. You know, it's actually a nice thing. People don't realize it. So like, this is where you get like certain spike times in your videos. Like, oh, at noon, everyone's just watching.
Yeah.
That's where you really get those.
Exactly.
Those
lunch with Alvin.
Lunch with Alvin.
I'm just like roaming
you're
in
doing
the
like
chat.
a little podcast with a sandwich in your hand. But yes, Alvin, you're a pretty decorated player right now.
They're just like talking to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
why not? Well, why wouldn't we want to talk to you? So, I guess one of the more recent things that happened, I guess it's been a couple months, but let's jump into your experience as top 16 in Seattle. Mm-hmm. Let's do that. All right. So in Seattle.
So my top 16.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, go ahead. No, you first.
So in your top 16, like, what deck did you play, and like what made you choose like that kind of deck, especially when in Seattle, as like this is before Azurite Sea. This is still when we were playing. What was the previous set called?
Shimmering Skies.
Shimmering Skies. Yeah. Like, what made you kind of deviate from like the predefined meta?
So 2 weeks before the DLC Seattle, I was live streaming and I was testing out decks that I can potentially play. DLC. I was helped. My viewers were helping me build decks, and one of the days, or actually, green yellow Mufasa deck that my viewers helped me build, doing really well, and was a lot of fun. So I said I'm gonna do all the colors of the rainbow with Mufasa, and test out the decks. So I did like red yellow, blue yellow. This is the worst one. Green yellow is pretty good. And Steel Mufasa I actually took to a set champs. It wasn't that great, but it did really well.
You got top 8, I believe,
wait a
right?
second, we have something here. I got top 8 at Fire and Dice. Yeah, one of our local set champs.
Right.
And I said, what the heck? This is pretty good. Like, this deck is solid. I just need to tweak it a little bit. So I was working on it. I was live streaming. We were making adjustments as we went. And at one point, I just took it low key and was just grinding out and making modifications and tweaking it as I saw fit. And I was like, this deck is really good. But I didn't have that much faith in it because I almost locked in Amber Steel songs, traditional Amber Steel songs,
yep.
the night before the tournament. And I was there sitting, looking at both decks. Like I had Mufasa stuff out and Amber Steel songs out. And I was like, you know what, guys? I'm just gonna, my buddies were there. I'm just gonna go for Mufasa. Like I wanna have fun. Mufasa's a little bit more linear. It's a tempo deck, so it's that much thought involved versus songs and whole new worlds and whatnot. So I locked into Mufasa. It comes, I was 4-0. Like, dude, I'm crushing it. I was high over my head. And round 5 is when I got cooked by No I'm Not.
Oh,
you guys probably know it.
yeah.
Know him. He's the Ruby Amethyst master because we were both undefeated. But I basically decided to choose Mufasa because it was a fun deck. It was pretty good. I didn't know it was that good. And I knew I was gonna have a good time playing it. So fun was like my number one priority.
Okay.
It wasn't really like, this is gonna crush the meta kind of thing. It was more like, I'm gonna enjoy this and I'm gonna have a good time playing this tournament.
Has it ever like came across like your head, you know, having the deck being shown and played while you're live streaming, that like a lot of other people would know the type of deck that you're actually, you know, bringing into Seattle and how to like counter that? Or what was your thought process on that? Or did you even have that thought to begin with?
I did, it does cross my mind, but kind of an open book to a point where I'm okay showing my followers what I'm playing, and I'm okay with them knowing what I'm on or potentially on. I think I prioritize sharing what I'm doing and what I'm playing with my followers versus keeping it low key, showing up to a tournament, doing well kind of thing, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. And I mean, it definitely spreads like more positive vibes too, right? And you're not like trying to be shady, hiding a new tech or anything like that, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like you could, you know, there could be other people playing that same tech, right? And word gets out, like Emerald Seal, for example, right? In like Vegas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zan.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's a perfect example.
Rescaping the meta, for
Like,
instance.
you saw that. Like Vegas had so many Emerald Steel players, like all from different groups too, right? So
Well,
everyone
that's
had
how
the
like those
same idea.
competitive groups work, right? They all like cook in secret. They don't really show anything. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh is like that too. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, they only know the basic decks that people have revealed so far. But oh, I got this new like hidden tech. I've been cooking this for a while now, and I'm gonna bring it to the next event, and then it's gonna be popular because we made it popular. There's always that mentality. Oh, we did it first, kind of thing. And like, you know, when you were saying like you were doing this like mainly because, oh, this is the fun deck, I'm gonna enjoy playing this. I think that's actually a really cool approach that a lot of people that play like hyper competitive don't do that. They go into events, you know, with the eye on the prize, so to speak. Right? They want to win. They don't want to show anyone anything.
Well, you're
and when you
setting
went
yourself
in
up
with
for
like,
success
yeah,
that
my
way.
top priority is like having fun first, and then I know it's good, so I cooked on that deck list for a while. I've been working on that recipe. It works. I don't know how much it works because to you it's like it's kind of fresh, and then you did really well with it. And when you do well with something that's fun,
Oh, it
like
feels
when
so
you
much better.
compare that with doing well with something that you expect to do well, like what would you be like? Would you feel completely different about the two things, or would it be equal because they both kind of obtain the same result?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's obviously a lot of really good decks, and I think most competitive players are gonna lean towards the deck that's absolutely crushing it and try to pick it up and go to these tournaments and crushed, because you need the reps with a certain deck. Like, you need to enjoy the deck. You need to feel comfortable with it to do well. You can't just pick up a deck and be like, this is the best deck, they say, so I'm gonna show up with it and just cook everybody.
Yeah.
You know, like, you need to be a skilled player, you need to be comfortable with the deck, enjoy the deck. I think those are like the 3 factors.
I think definitely, like, especially if you crafted the deck, you know, yourself and with your viewers as well, it feels so much special because you kind of put your heart and soul into something, right? And you know that you believe in the deck, so it's gonna work out in your favor at the end of the day. It's like look at Tom, for example, right? He brought Emerald Steel. Hey,
what are you throwing me under the bus for?
He had like no idea how to mulligan everything. He's just like, what do I do? This
I know,
that's
like,
deck, but
like-
it's not winning.
Yeah. But the fact is that when I went into the DLC in Seattle, I was like 1 month into the game, and like people won't believe that I'm only 1 month in because I'm just executing like a combo video. It's just like a common thing that people say. It's like, oh, like you have a good player. No, sorry, you have a bad player with a good deck, but they don't know what to do with that deck. So the only thing that they can execute is what's been shown on a video, and that was it. So that was me, like kind of stumbling my way across the entire DLC. Hey, I still got the Rapunzel, so I'm still good. First event, got a Rapunzel. I'm still got 2 Rapunzels. I'm still happy with that.
To be fair, like you got 2 Rapunzels, bro. To be fair, like you've been playing it for you said how long? A few months?
At
months?
the time, 1 month. I was literally just 1 month in, but people didn't believe it because like, oh, you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, dude. You've been playing like card games for like 10 years. Come on, you can't be that bad. I'm like, no, man, this is
so
a new
different.
concept to
It's
me.
so different.
Such a different card game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a different card game. Like if you came from Magic, you'll have a decent understanding. From what I hear, I never played Magic, so I don't know.
they
But
say
I know there's a lot of
Hearthstone
Magic
was the
players that transferred
There's
over.
a lot of Hearthstone. Yeah, absolutely.
Hearthstone
Hearthstone?
Hearthstone was the more like direct transfer because of the damage not refreshing, and there's no phases in Hearthstone.
Right.
So it's like very similar to Lorcana. And it's kind of neat, really neat.
Yeah, actually, let's talk about that. Like, Alvin, have you had any like other card game experience in the past as well, or like did you just go straight into Lorcana?
Oh, funny thing is, I started with card games when I was 14 in Mexico. I lived in Mexico for like 3 years. We moved out there just cool, but Yu-Gi-Oh appeared, and that's when I picked it up.
Okay.
Appeared, and all the cards were in English, so that was my first introduction to cards. Not everybody spoke English, so this guy was the translator for Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
It's like pot of greed. What is that?
That's kind of like
Draw
where
4
my
cards.
You're like, that's broken, okay? And then after, a big skip forward to, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. I picked it up again with my buddy. There was so much that had just happened and so much that was going on that I didn't.
What format was that?
Like, there were just so many new things, huh?
What format was that? When you picked it up again for Yu-Gi-Oh?
There's Lynx, there was
yeah.
You already picked it up with
XZs, there
Lynx
was,
already. Okay. Okay, with Lynx, yeah, it's.
there was a lot.
5 years ago, 2020. That's during COVID.
Maybe like a year before COVID.
Was that? Yeah, that was during COVID.
2020
Yeah,
was COVID.
it was
like
during COVID.
The end of 2019 was when isolation started happening, when people started to like rapidly kind of become a
Card games
I don't want to be
blew up.
mean, but like become a statistic. Okay, it sounds really bad. But like, 2020.
No, yeah, I was meeting up with my buddy and playing cards. So that's like, yeah.
Yeah, it was just it was a dangerous time back then.
Yeah, I remember
When
actually.
the numbers were soaring.
Because I was in locals too during that time, and then there was a ruling of like, oh, you can't cut your opponent's deck because of like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was so funny, and like every table had hand sanitizer.
Hey, I developed the remote
Oh,
duel
really?
thing. I developed remote duel. I demoed how it would work, and we got so many YCSs out of that. I demoed it once. I demoed it once of how it was possible by establishing certain rules about how to replace cutting, how do you replace this and that, how do you deal with like your opponent giving you a card because they have to like give you the card onto their side. Like we found ways around all of that, and I demoed it once. I put a very high production video of how to do it. I did it with a German guy. I did it so we were dueling across continents. I think I was doing it with a content creator named Schattenspieler, and it was like, yo, the whole thing it works. Like, it can be done.
You're a pioneer, bro.
Tom changed the world.
More people need to know. More people need to know about this.
Yeah.
I think Pixelborn Connect
but-
wouldn't have been created
damn,
without
that's-
Tom's comes remote dueling.
Trust me.
Yeah,
like when you guys
exactly.
see this, our upcoming
your idea.
remote game, you'll see the difference it takes to just design certain things around it. We'll show you guys that in a second. But yeah, that's kind of like, so you went to Yu-Gi-Oh back in like 2020, and then you eventually dropped it. Of course, Lorcana came. Did you pick up Lorcana right at the beginning?
It was towards the beginning, yeah. One of my buddies brought it up. He said, "Dude, there's this," because we were playing One Piece at the time. It's Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball, One Piece, and he brought up the cardigan, and I thought it sounded dumb. Like I didn't want to play Disney card game.
Okay. Honestly, I was
It
on
didn't
the
sound
same
Mickey
level.
Mouse in
Why
defense
would
mode.
I want to play with like Bambi and Simba? I guess Simba's kind of cool,
Yeah.
but why would I want to play with
yeah.
like Lilo? Like,
It just felt wrong when you thought about it, right? Especially coming from a Yu-Gi-Oh
Lilo's
background.
broken, yeah.
yeah, like wait,
You're like,
Lilo's
so Lilo's
Lilo's
gonna
beating
attack?
Because of
What's
Yu-Gi-Oh.
going on?
Yeah, no, especially with like Dragon Ball, because you know the characters are they're all fighting and they're all jacked.
Yeah.
And then you go to Lorcana and everyone's like princesses and kings and queens.
Yeah,
you know
it's
what I
like
mean?
hard to
gonna
wrap
sing-
your
But
mind around.
I got
yeah.
hooked.
Yeah. They had to nerf the wording. They say challenge.
Yeah, well,
Not
the
battle,
game definitely got
challenge.
PG. They definitely censored a lot of the
Yeah.
language. You don't kill characters, you banish
Yeah, you banish
characters. Okay.
Yeah, no destruction. Nothing gets destroyed. Or yeah.
It's so weird because like coming from
There
a
is
Yu-Gi-Oh
banished,
background, like
which is
I
kinda
have
funny.
all the Yu-Gi-Oh terminologies, right? So I'm like, oh, okay, Rapunzel goes into the graveyard, and then the other opponent's just like graveyard. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Isn't graveyard even like a
You're like, dude, just take it easy.
Yeah.
Whoa, edgy,
Yeah,
edgy, edgy.
Lilo challenges into your Cindy, kills, and I'm like, whoa, this is a Disney game.
Hold on.
They're like,
no
bro,
one dies
you're
here
gonna
except
get
for the
canceled
villains.
out here.
Okay. Well, let's kind of go back
The
to your,
villains, yeah.
like let's go back to your deck for a second. Like,
Yeah, I'm actually curious about that. So, like, you know, you're still FASA, bringing it into Seattle. How many times did you actually just have the playline of going into Cindy turn 1 and then having the opponent thinking that you're actually just playing regular Amber songs? Because it's funny because, like, your
Oh,
deck
bro, so many times.
has a little bit of songs in there. So it's like, you know, the first portion of this deck looks like your typical Amber songs. So, like, how did that, you know, become an advantage for you?
So with the draw cards, as soon as they see a Cindy, they're gonna want to ink their draw cards. Like friends, because they're gonna want to play around a whole new world, and also wait the removal on an aerial, which never comes down. Does that make sense? Like Cindy, and then Smee, and then Lawrence, and then another big character, and then Champo gets slapped on the
Yeah.
board, and they're like, "What the freak is going on here?"
like where's the big singers?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
where are
You're
the
like,
ones
oh
that-
wow,
where's
like
your
I must
songs?
be doing really well because you know Alvin's not getting any aerials. He's not like doing the usual stuff after well. And I bet like has it ever come across
exactly.
like a time when like you had Beast or Chin Po and then they dropped an Ursula Deceiver thinking that you had whole new world in your hand?
Yeah, definitely. Ursula Deceiver always came down, and there's only six songs in the decks. So they look at my hand, and there's like a Doc and the Tinkerbell and this other yellow Tinkerbell, the Amber Tinkerbell. Like, oh wait.
They probably see a Chernobog in
whenever
there.
they
Like,
saw my
their heart
hand,
drops.
we did yeah.
So like, was there any opponent that kind of figured out what you were doing just from like the initial check, from like just the hand check?
Really? No. I would always ask them after. Like I always talk to them after, because I always went second. And they didn't know my game plan. And this is a tempo, so it can just run you over if it's high strength characters and the two questers. So the game plan usually worked out.
Oh, that's perfect.
Against
That's pretty
Moana.
interesting, actually, because you know when I was in Seattle, like a lot of people, if they won the die roll, they're choosing to go first.
Yeah, they're
right?
always on the play.
There wasn't any reason that I could find to really go second, but I guess like in your deck, being a tempo deck, you found a reason to actually just be on the draw, and if let's just say you won that, then you're now on the play, right?
Exactly. There's no game plan in this deck really, right? Like there's no There's no, oh, I go second, so I keep this card. It was like you keep your curve. You keep your curve, like your 1, 2, 3, and the 4 is going to come after the mulligan, the 5, and then eventually it like fixes itself. So I was never stressed like, oh, what should I keep? Usually it came out the same. Like you keep a 1-drop, and then Smee is amazing. I guess Piglet. Piglet's a big one that you don't want to see going second.
Right.
But other than that, it was pretty straightforward.
I feel like that makes a lot of things easier in your experience a lot better as well, because then you can stop thinking about like all these complicated play lines for your own deck and start thinking about like what your opponent has and become more, reactive, right?
Yeah, exactly. And because my characters trade better, the opponent runs out of resources. Would run out of resources. And the draw, Rapunzel, it was just insane. Like Rapunzel had so much value. Beast was usually ink, but like Rapunzel was definitely the MVP.
So, like, what's your like biggest power play that you did to someone at the event? Like, what's like something that you did that just totally, you can watch the hope and it kind of leave their eyes, like just drain out. Like,
it's definitely Cindy shift after questing with Duck. So Cindy shift coming down on turn 4, just backbreaking for almost any deck. Like, just imagine staring down a 5/5 resist to quest for 3 on turn 4. That's already questing on turn 4.
that's crazy. That's like wild tempo right there.
Yeah, and there's probably not too many outs that like Ruby Am decks even have, because yeah, sure, they had Brawl, that doesn't affect Cindy. They didn't even play Dragonfire back then, right? And I believe they played 2 Medusa and 2 Tremaine, but obviously your deck plays majority characters, so you're probably gonna have a bunch of characters, on the board for you to just choose another character for Tremaine, right? So your Cindy is probably there just chilling.
What was the
She usually just chill there.
So what was like the one thing that kind of took you by surprise, like an opponent kind of countered you, like at some point later, especially in the top cut?
Yeah,
that's probably when. Well, I think it was open deckless at that point.
It was, yeah.
And people, I'm pretty sure, studied you up at that point because you were probably a wild card in there.
He was the only Steel Fassa deck.
Yeah, you were the wild card in there. so like, what did people do like in day 2 to kind of counter you?
So I lost to Luke Ireland.
Oh yeah.
Actually the winner of the whole tournament. He was on green steel.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one That's the one weakness of this deck, because this deck has to see Storm, Strength, and Cindy has to stick on the board to be able to play it. I wasn't able to get to that, so that was a really good counter to my deck. I kept the Storm in both games, and it was sniped by Ursula. So that was just an easy counter to my deck. Yeah, and once I don't have my removal, you can't really take a Diablo down, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't
Prince
touch
Johns
it
too,
unless you see another top deck Storm. Exactly, your Prince Johns are chilling there. Even a Tink shift doesn't do anything because it only deals 1 damage.
That's a really hard mulligan for 2 Tinks.
It was a really, yeah. And even if you try to tempo them out with dropping characters, you run out of resources because they're discarding your hand. Mm-hmm. So you come down to top decking, and you don't have that much ink because you didn't get there. So if you see a Cindy, you're inking it. If you see a big Tink, you're inking it. And you might get to your Mufasas, but at that point, it's a little too late. Like they have resources, they have removal, and it's green steel doing green steel things, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely a really broken deck, and hopefully even until this day, we'll see more in the LCQ when it comes out.
Do you think it's going to show up in LCQ? I mean, that deck has really fallen. To me, it's fallen off quite a lot compared to the representations.
Yeah, you think so?
I think it's gone down from like, I would say like top 3 represented to kind of below below
because of all the Diablo counters.
Because Diablo's like super countered right now. There's so many else Diablo. There's so many evasives in every deck now. Like Azrael introduced like like evasives for everyone. Like Red's got easy evasives that they would play, like even just the Maui. Sure, it's a little bit of a later game, but everyone has some way of shape or form to deal with Diablo.
And plus, because people want to take out Genie, they're providing techs in there, like for example, red decks. They're having like Maui's fishhook now, right, to kill those genies.
Yeah.
And that Maui fishhook can easily just also take out a Diablo. On top of that, if you play any sort of Maui, you can play the fishhook for free. So it's busted.
Fish hook is broken. Fish hook is busted. I've seen some lists running bow in steel, especially specifically blue steel. But you're right, man. Evasive is a big problem, and a really fun, like random fun evasive card that I've been trying out in my list in my blurple is Isabel. Isabel Madrigal.
Yep.
Familiar?
Yep.
She essentially quests for 4. She's a 5-drop. She's a 3/4 evasive. So as long as she's the only one questing, she's questing for 4. Stat line.
That's
and
the purple one, I believe, right?
ISA.
It was teched in, and I think Ruby Amethyst long time ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Isabel.
Yeah, that one there.
This one right here.
Yeah.
That one right there. Cool thing with her in Blurple is if your characters want to challenge, they want to respond to your opponent's board. And because you are ramping, she can come down as soon as turn 4. And the rest of the things you're doing is like drawing cards with Rabbit or Genie, or you're bouncing characters and challenging with Fox, while this lady's questing for 4, putting tons of pressure on. I think she's a really cool tech that I've been trying out, so I just wanted to throw her out there. Talking about evasives, right?
Yeah, evasive is such a big part of the current format, and I guess we can kind of look into the upcoming, LCQ and whatnot.
Yeah, it's happening in one week's time, and I believe, Alvin, you're going to that, right?
Ooh. Sir, we're going to Nats.
Yeah, there you go. And we're all rooting for you here. Like, tell us about more about like what your mindset is right now. Getting into LCQ next week, and just for all the viewers out there, just what are some of the things that you're preparing for?
So I'm prepared to make my deck as good as it can be, and I want to be as comfortable as I can. I think my number one priority is getting the reps in, being comfortable with my deck, and making my deck better versus trying to tech for certain matchups or playing a list as good matchups into certain decks, but so good into other decks. If that makes any sense, I just want to be really comfortable with my deck and my game plan and my plays, my lines of play, and knowing what to do against my opponents or not misplaying. I think that's going to be the most crucial part of going into nationals. Just not making any mistakes. As good as I can. I'm not really too worried about the secret tech or maybe I should be trying 2 of this instead of 3.
At the end of the day, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, it's single elimination, right?
It's best of 2, 7 rounds.
7 rounds.
And after that is top cut.
Right. So I think having a game plan when you're just creating a deck with just the most consistency, right? Even if you're not losing out, on some of the bad matchups, I think creating a deck where it's like, for example, like Emerald Steel, right? Like when we were looking at Seattle, like a lot of Emerald Steel players, when I was talking to them, they don't mind the draw on their bad matchups with Ruby Sapphire, right? It is still winnable, but as long as they're getting the draw, they don't mind. And as long as they're able to then 2-0 their good matchups, then I think that's like the best game plan you could possibly hope for, rather than bringing down the consistency of your deck by having all these random techs that you may not even see during the whole game, right?
Absolutely, 100%. You're like right spot on the money. I think that's the approach to go into this kind of tournament, because you can just tech against a certain deck all day and make your deck inconsistent or have a bunch of uninkables. But at the end of the day, if you're 2-0ing your good matchups and you're 1-1ing your bad matchups, you're going to be in a really good spot.
Yeah, I agree.
That's actually a very surprising thing for me. Coming from Yu-Gi-Oh, but there is no draw constantly just to like draw your bad
It's
matchups.
win, 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 no matter
it's
what.
It's win or bust. It's always win or bust. Like you got to be because we have side decking, right? So side decking just lets us like adjust our matchup to minimize our bad cards and
Right.
maximize on hard counters. So it's always been about winning. I never really approached like when I approached the DLC before. It's like I just want to win, right? I don't want to draw. I don't want to lose. I just want to win. I didn't understand like, hey, you can actually incorporate draws for certain things.
Yeah, because you can mulligan, right? And on top of that, a lot of your side cards that you are incorporating into your decks, they could be inkable, right? So when you don't need them, just if let's just say you open them, generally what I like to do is I like to keep it so that way I don't have to draw it later, and I just ink it early in the game so I don't see it.
Yeah.
So off the top of your
I like
head right
that.
now,
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
what are the expected matchups that you're gonna face off in this upcoming nationals?
Let's have a look at that. Actually, Tom, could you pull up some of the recent tournaments? Let's review that with Elvin.
I want to know. I want to see what he thinks right now, and then let's go take a guess. So,
Red, blue, green, purple, ruby, amethyst, above green, purple, and amber. Oh man, it's a really hard. Amber, steel, ruby, ami, and red, blue are gonna be like at the top. And
you
then,
still feel like
down here we got green, purple, and green, steel.
All the B tier decks.
okay, let's click into these and see how. Let's see
I
how we
think green
match
steel's
up.
in a really good. I think green steel's in a really good place though. Yeah.
Okay, so wow, there's a Star
that
City
ink
1K
decks.
tournament. Star City Games. They had a 1K tournament
Okay.
on Friday, like
Look at that.
yesterday. Let's take a look at 23 players. Okay, first place we got Ruby Amethyst.
no,
That's
I'm
kind of a bit of a given.
What do you know?
Deck.
I feel like every time I see a Ruby Am topped in one of these tournaments, is always no, I'm not.
yeah, exactly. It's like one ruby ami, everything else,
Yeah,
and then ruby ami and like not the top cut.
yeah, exactly, right?
So this is the
Oh, that's interesting. No, I'm not. He's playing Olaf now.
Olaf. Oh, the snowman.
Yeah. I guess he's really trying to, counteract that bad Amber Steel song matchup, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I guess that makes sense. You can always ink it away because it's bad into, let's say, everything else. Yeah. I mean, you lose a lot of tempo when you
Yeah.
play out a one drop that can be pinged by storm, right?
But I mean, like, why play Olaf over Diablo, right? Because Diablo replaces itself. It's still a crab target, just like Olaf, right?
So I'm just
It's still a
clicking-
crab target, but most storms are going to hit the Diablo regardless. So I think the 1-3 is good because once you set up your snake on turn 2, you bounce and set up your snake, it puts them in a really rough spot because they can't remove it unless they're playing Zeus or they're playing 2 more 1-drops and taking
Right.
it out with the strength.
Or they're just dropping a
Yeah, it's interesting.
Very neat stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's just for that matchup though, which is kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see anything like this, like entering the LCQ, because obviously I'm not's going to be there. And he's probably going to be playing a similar list. I know, like last time for Seattle, I'm not really refined his list down and just made it like super consistent all around.
Consistent, yeah. I mean, he did really well. He did really. I think he was second seed
Yeah, something like that.
after Swiss, yeah,
Let's have a look at the
because he was undefeated,
Tournament.
and then just ID'd his last two rounds. I think. I don't remember that well,
Well,
but
that makes a lot of sense, though. How come all these tournaments are like 1K prizing? Are they 1K prizing, or are they just putting 1K as part of the name? I have no idea how these.
How come
names
we
are
don't get any tournaments like that in Canada? Like, I feel like all the best
I want a
tournaments are in the
1K.
US.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, professional Lorcana.
They're like, here's the participation pack.
Okay, so then there's the Southside game.
No, tomorrow we have a triple case tomorrow,
Oh, do we?
which I'm really excited about.
That's about 3K. Oh, actually, no. How much is a case in Lorcana?
Wait, how much is a case? 400?
400
12,
US.
1.2K. What's the
2K tournament right there.
about, right?
So this is a 94-person tournament. We have first place with Ruby Amethyst going. I'm guessing these are games because if it's like by games, it makes a lot more sense.
It has to be 5 rounds, right?
Yeah, this is has to be 5.
Oh.
90 something people. Actually, no, they could have made it like top cut as well. I'm not sure.
It's pretty good.
I mean, they could. So we got again.
90
We got Ruby Amethyst, Ruby Sapphire, Amethyst Sapphire. That's a Blurple.
Wow, Blurple.
Blurple making into third,
cute.
going 8-1. That's
I like
crazy.
it.
Amber Steel.
Wow.
Of course, expected.
Full gains, yeah.
I believe in Amber Steel.
Amethyst
I think
Steel,
or
aggro.
Amethyst Steel has like really high potential.
Got lots of representation. I guess like within the
Yeah,
list that are
very
revealed
strong.
and Steel song. I'm assuming this is like spiciness 100%. Why? Why are you so spicy? Is this an
Oh,
aggro deck?
It looks like Zach Bivens' version.
This
looks like, I mean, there's no whole new world.
there's only Raging Fire and
It's like Diggy Diggy Hole.
Yeah. Dude, just throw some Mufasas in there.
Like Diggy
and
Diggy
let
Hole
your
without the
skill class
locations, right?
yeah.
No, I was. I know this kind of looks like my.
begin. Yeah.
Looks like your
current
list.
deck.
Looks like your list with Calhoun's.
That's funny. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I don't play Cindy right now either because it's a little slow, but this is cool. I like this. Kita, Reindeer, Aloo, and the Sticky Mickey. Have you guys heard of Sticky Mickey? Like
Yeah.
the nickname they gave him?
Really?
Because he just doesn't go away. He has
What?
resist
It's so
one.
hard to kill.
He doesn't go away.
And no one wants to attack into it because it's a waste, right?
The only experience I have with like Sticky
Yeah.
Mickey is with like our other channel friend Y because he plays
okay.
brooms and he shifts this Mickey into like the ping Mickey and
Oh.
like he always gets him because
Who's
he's
Broom
never
Mickey?
taken out.
Yeah.
He's like a full like Fantasia deck.
Yeah.
He actually was surprised.
Like, what am I gonna use? 2 storms?
Yeah, it's a waste of resources. It's like Diablo, right? It's like, oh, I don't want to attack into it, so it's just gonna sit there and start questing.
Yeah, it's so weird. Sticky Mickey.
Just
I
gonna
like
quest until you decide to take it out.
Yeah.
And then what about this other?
I know, Alvin, you're probably eyeing
eyeing
that Blurple deck, eh?
Yeah, this one's just.
Yeah, bro, I'm getting like, how are we gonna get there? Yeah. This looks, traditional, right?
This
4, 8, 12, 16 songs. Just the best songs, right? Gantu, that's kind of cool.
Quest for 4. Let's go.
But this has
This one cut down.
yeah,
on the
it's
needles.
more, it's a good mid-range. Yeah.
Are
I
people
like decks like this one with the whole new world.
Yeah.
Cut down on the Lilos because you'll see them, and if you discard them with whole new world, you can just get them
bring 'em
back.
back,
You just
right.
cycle through your deck so much faster with whole new world. Yeah.
I personally think we're gonna see a resurgence in Whole New World for Amber songs. Because it's like one way that you can
me
also come back from the red-blue matchup, right? Like when they wipe your whole board, you just have a few cards in hand left. It's not going to do much because 3 of your Amber Song cards is one of their Sisus, right?
Yeah. I feel like this one's not as good into the red blue versus the more aggro amber steel, because you don't really want to use a whole new world versus red blue. Mm-hmm. The time that you use it, for the most part, they're ramped and they have better things that they can do with their ink than you can. But I think this is very good into everything else. Even the aggro amber steel with like the mines and whatnot. I think this is very good into that deck. So we might be seeing this. And like we said, it's okay if they get the 1/1 against red blue. Cook everything else.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. For your locals, Alvin, have you been noticing like any meta shifts at all? Because usually a lot of times people are testing it right before set champs, so they're like doing a bunch of different techs on different meta decks, right?
Yeah, so the funny thing is that we had a lot of Ruby Amethyst players were changed to a different deck, but now Ruby Ami won Europe. Mm-hmm. They went back to it. So they cycled all the way back Ruby Amethyst after seeing the success. And it's fair. There's genies, there's sharks, there's But Diablos, there's a lot of really crazy good cards that came out in this set, which makes it really tempting to go back to Ruby-Ami, especially after seeing so much success. I just want to see somebody make Top Cut with blue-yellow.
That would be awesome.
At one of these big
Lemon
tournaments.
water?
Lemon water.
Lemon
Yeah.
water. All right.
Lemon water.
That Agua deck.
I'll do it. I play the
Aqua
weird
deck.
decks. I'm gonna play the weird deck. I'll do it. I'll
Do it, man. That would be so refreshing.
I'll use my non-gaming knowledge to build a deck. These look good. I guess I'll put it in.
Yeah, but that's the best part, right? Like all three of us, Alvin, like
Yeah.
we love non-meta decks. We just love testing out like different type of things and showing gameplay for that. Because I think like sometimes you just have to like really break that net decking mentality, right? If you want to change the meta and you want to define it, you really have to just not play any of the meta stuff, build your own deck, and just kind of strip down all the things that you know about these types of deck and just kind of, you know, remake it from bottom up, you know? Like there's so many different types of interactions
It
that
really
that the
stimulates
game has.
creativity, right?
Yeah,
It does. I kind of want to chime in on that point where, because Baja Blast was actually the first deck I played. I played the Baja Blast of Shimmering Skies, and it was Clarabelle based. It was Clarabelle based with
Sour cow.
It was like at first it was it was basically
Milk?
it was a sour cow.
Sour milk.
Yeah, sour milk. But it started with that, and it kind of steered away from it from a little bit because originally I was using Clarabelles, I was using Tamatoas, Lucky Dimes. That was the first iteration. But then if I'm playing like Tamatoas, Lucky Dimes, why don't I just play Ruby Sapphire?
Yeah, right.
Because at that point I'm much slower. I have no removal. I have no answer to anything.
yeah.
So why won't I just switch to that? So then I broke it down, but rather than keeping the Tamatoas and all of that stuff and the Clarabelles, I actually stripped those out and I turned it into a Scrooge deck. It was like a mid-range. It was a weird aggro deck at that point because the turn one.
I
was a ramp.
like that.
It was
Yeah.
a turn one ramp, and they expect me to ramp more, but the only thing that came out from the deck afterwards are just 4-drops. It's Scrooge into another Scrooge, and
Scrooge!
and it's
Bro,
like,
Scrooge is so broken, yeah.
McDuck Manor, and everything's like, wow, everything's so hard to kill in this deck. Everything's just so big, dodges the ranges of everything else, and they're like, where's your other drops? No, I only inked a 4. I only inked a 4. I don't
ramps
ramp
out 4
anymore.
and that's it.
Everything is just like one drop. It's like, oh, this is a 5/5. Oh yeah, I'm playing Prince Charming because he's a 3/3 and he quests for 3. And everything's like,
Prince Charming, yeah.
why is everything so
3.
large? And I play Hidden Cove, and Hidden Cove boosts up everything, so it made it even worse for them. Like, why is everything so hard to kill? And they dropped like their Tamatoa. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take out your Tamatoa by swinging in my duck now, and I'm gonna also swing with this Prince Charming let's just get rid of that thing so I don't have to look at it anymore. And then it was like, this makes no sense. So at the DLC, I played against one of my opponents. Like, well, you know what? I'm gonna give the win to you because there's no point in me kind of denying you since I was the pair down, and you still have a chance to get more tickets. But can you like play this other deck with me? So my Steel Song, like not Steel Song, my Emerald Steel was like I got cooked, and then I played the other deck, and I'm like, yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing against me because he's expecting certain things to ramp up, and all of a sudden it's just 3 Scrooges on the board, and he can't do anything because everything. It's like turn 5. And there's like so many.
What do you do? A lot of like decks can't handle a Scrooge on turn 3.
Yeah, it was like
How do you handle a Scrooge on turn 3?
And if you think that's
A 5/5.
broken, can you imagine now with the incorporation of Alice, you just give it ward and another lore?
Yeah, you give it ward, and I was like, wow, I actually can't out this card. So that's where the Baja Blast. That's where the creativity came in, where we took out what we thought we knew, and then we just like ramped slightly different. That's where like my recent, like the ones I challenged Jay Kwan to, which was my Baja Blast, is like everything only went to 4, and then it's just Yokai, Alice, everything's warded, and I'm just questing out with this because everything's questing for 2 to 3 per turn at that point. So it's like an aggro deck now, but it has a 1-turn ramp to let them catch up. But after that, it's just like a snowball effect. Yeah,
So it's like a mono blue deck.
It does feel like blue because like you barely.
Wait, what are you playing? What are you playing that's green? Yeah.
Why am I playing this like Emerald Chromacon? Because I want it so that when I do quest into things, I'm clearing your board as I quest. And Jay Kwan introduced me to one card, the Noi. Because I'm like, I need something that's like, because I was playing Zipper before, and Zipper was so weird. Like it gave resist. I love that it gave resist. It's like Cogsworth-esque almost. And then it's like, why don't you just play Noi? Why you have an item? He has resist 1 anyway. And he's like, he also gets more lore with it too. I'm like, this card exists? Like, I don't know the library, so I tried it out. Immediately replaced all the zippers with noise. Just hands down, one of the best things ever that went down.
It was broken too, because I guess your
It's
deck.
a very good 2-drop.
Yeah, because you play yokai, so you're not getting rid of your items for.
No,
for
I'm not
items.
clear. I'm not
Yeah,
here.
so they're just all staying there.
Yeah, it's always sitting there half the time. So that's like where the creativity came in, and like, you know what? It's worth trying.
Yeah.
I don't have like the meta knowledge that everyone else has, so when I'm crafting something, I'm like, yeah, these two work together. Just like pick it up, look at it. Yeah, this is a combo. Even though it's like, yeah, no, it's not a real combo. Tom, it's not a real combo. It's like, it's a combo to me.
Yeah. Do you ever just go on Dreamborn and just go pick the colors and just add a bunch of cards and you're left with like 80 and you just trim it down? Do you ever just do that?
I do that too.
I do that because I don't know what's going on. Yeah. But I only end up with 80 because everything seems so good.
Yeah,
you're like, that's my everyday
deck building process. I want this.
Yeah,
I wonder if we're actually gonna see any like that unique deck building in the LCQ next week. Like, I'm really curious. Like, just like looking at a bunch of different texts, is like people are playing Dragonfire now. Pirate's Life. I mean, look at this.
Pirate's Life is crazy
deck, right? Like, you're adding Pirate's Life back with Maui. And on top of that, I believe Velocisphere can actually make Maui challenge right away, if I'm not mistaken.
It gets rush, yeah.
That is the scariest thing. You see a Fortis or Vitalisphere on field.
Yeah.
You're gonna be scared to turn your cards sideways.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, Maui's coming.
That's the craziest thing too. Is like when I was testing Maui in my Ruby Am decks, as soon as I drop Maui Fishhook, like the opponent's not questing at all. It gives you a whole entire turn of them just not doing anything.
Yeah. Scary, man. Red is very scary, which is one of the most broken decks right now.
Yeah, Tom, let's see if there's actually any purple-green decks. And let's just quickly go through, the rest of the decks here and slowly start to wrap things up because we're under time.
Purple-green did not make it to this list.
Oh.
Recently, no.
Womp, womp, womp.
I tried to
How about that Blurple list, though?
That Blurple list was pretty... Oh, there is a Blurple list. Let me just get back to that. It's in the Southside Gaming ads, right? See, the Blurple. This is another bounce deck. Man, bouncing is such a confusing thing for me personally.
Oh, Alvin, you see this? You can actually play the Let It Go that you won from Seattle.
They play one copy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I do run Let It Go in my deck. I just haven't brave enough to put it in my deck yet.
Yeah, I see.
Maybe if I take this, I would do it. Flex,
Yeah. Like, it's crazy to me how some players just have full enchanted decks.
Most of those are store owners though.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of those people are actually store owners. They rent out the deck to people. I haven't seen anyone that actually personally owned the entirety except for store owners. That's what I've seen. So they're willing to devalue their cards for the one flex and then not perform well enough, and then they'll go home afterwards. But then they'll put it back in the showcase, slightly devalued.
And then they sell them.
Yeah, exactly.
Slightly
Right?
devalued.
I was walking around Seattle. I'm seeing I think it was 5 golden Mickeys, and I'm like, where did all these come from? Did they just win it and go straight to the vendor?
You should play with a golden Mickey.
No. Yeah. Do that. So the funny thing about, not funny, but it's for me, it's bad. But the top, say you're in a team like Labyrinth, some of these teams have guidelines where if you do well, we're gonna take your earnings, sell them, and we're gonna split the earnings of cash. Everybody that's on the team.
Ooh, okay.
So players will do that. They'll sell their cards because they have to right away.
Right.
And then just split whatever they win or whatever they get, whatever cash they get from the card.
That makes sense. I thought people just wanted to break even or something, from traveling and all that. And Like, I guess, like, just kind of curious too. It's like,
too.
how was your experience with like traveling? Like, for me, I don't travel that much, so like, having Seattle just a drive away was kind of a blessing for me. But I believe like yourself, like some people, they have to take off work because they work on the weekends, and it kind of discourages them from going to like an LCQ or a DLC, and then they also have like maybe discouraged because like they're not confident enough in like bringing a meta deck. Right, so kind of like, can you talk about that? Like, what was your like mindset going into Seattle? Because I believe like did you take vacation for work, or because you had all those clients probably lined up, right?
Yeah, I had to. I definitely had to. I took time off Friday because we flew in red-eye Thursday night because it was the cheapest. Here we go again with the whole budgeting for this. So I missed everyone on Friday and Saturday. And I booked my flight to return on Sunday. That was dumb. Think I was going to make day 2.
And you made day 2?
Think I was going to make day 2. And the Airbnb. And the Airbnb, the car rental. As soon as I won, or I topped on Saturday, yeah. So excited. It's like running off adrenaline.
Yeah.
And we're on the car ride back. And I'm thinking,
Wait.
oh my God.
Oh no, I got a
It's
flight.
like 11 p.m. To extend our flight, we have to extend our Airbnb. We have to extend everything. And then I'm thinking, oh no. Like, I still have to prep for the tournament tomorrow. I'm tired. I want to sleep early. And
Yeah.
it was a mess.
And you got to study for your opponent's decks too.
You went from wait,
You're like, Dret.
why did I top?
But the thing was, exactly, the job. But the thing is that if I make day 2, I make the money back from travel expenses.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
You got your
I just extend the
Rapunzel.
flight.
You got your foil Rapunzel. You got Rapunzel.
yeah,
Man, you got
Rapunzel
to
and
Let It
Cindy.
Go.
Is this in
And the
Cindy
Cindy as
isn't
well. Like, you probably walked away with like roughly
Cindy,
like
yeah.
$5,000 worth of stuff.
About. Yeah.
there?
It was worth it.
Too, right?
But next time,
you get a bunch of tickets too for topping, right? The main event. So that also gets converted.
no, you don't get tickets.
There's no tickets from topping.
I think it's for top.
I think it's for top 2.
I think it's top 8.
Right? Or top 8.
Top
yeah.
8. Oh man, if you imagine
2.
converting those into tickets and getting just a bunch of first chapter boxes.
But the first chapter boxes was sold out on day 2.
Man,
Like,
that would
there
have
were
been
none.
sweet.
Like, I got lucky. I got the
were they?
Cinderella mat, and I was like one of the last ones that got the Cinderella mat on day 2, because I entered the
Ooh.
I entered the competitive day 2 at like 8 a.m. Right, so it finished at like 5 p.m. and I just like booked it to get my tickets, and then booked it to claim my Cindy mat, and just 5 minutes after that, the line was like lined up to like half of the venue.
Yo, actually,
Wow,
I
your
spoke
timing
with one
rude.
of the
You
winners.
probably wouldn't have gotten one.
No, not at all. If I joined the 9 a.m. competitive, I would not have gone that Cindy mat.
No.
I was so lucky.
I spoke with one of the winners of one of the competitive events. So the easiest competitive event if you say you could not get the competitor's badge, whatever, get the Saturday early competitive event. Everyone will be in the main event, so the competitive event will actually be relatively empty. So the guy that won the Saturday competitive event was in a pot of like 70 something people. He played a rogue deck. I think he played ketchup mustard, red yellow, and he won.
Also Mufasa deck. Man, Mufasa decks were like
He
banging
won
it
the
that
whole
day.
thing. He got 300 tickets. He traded it in for 4 first chapter
Man.
boxes. It was wild to see that. He basically got everything. And I'm like, you know what? If you don't want to play like hyper competitive, but you still want a large prizing, and you're only in there to kind of cash out, then the Saturday competitive in the morning is the one to be at. Since every single person that's competing in the main event, that the people that believe they have a chance, the really competitive people, are all not in that pod with you. And you're probably just going to see a lot of hyper action.
Your odds are way higher.
Yeah, the odds are way higher, and if you're really
Sorry, one
just turning like your best bang for your buck, that might be it.
Yeah.
One of my friends actually just went for the side events, and he got a Cindy mat and some other stuff because of the tickets. tickets are very generous if you top. Very, very generous.
It is.
So I get it, man. That's a huge power play. If you're like, I'm not gonna make top cut or day 2,
Like,
you just do the side events.
I felt like I should have done that based on my experience. Like I probably I wouldn't expect myself to like hit like the top of the top, but even it just hitting top 32, getting like the 70 tickets.
Yeah.
It would have still been much better.
And that's what I got, top 32. And
You got like was it 90 tickets?
I think it was like 90 or something like that. Like I got super lucky. Like actually,
90?
a funny
Yeah, it's
thing.
90. It's literally like 2 first chapter boxes.
Yeah.
Just from that alone.
Yeah, like it literally, without that, I couldn't have gone to Cinemat. But yeah, funny thing enough was like, I got super lucky with that competitive tournament, because like I think on the second last round, I was facing Dale Bolito. And I was like, oh no. Yeah, and then the thing is,
wait, how did that go?
so we both needed the 2-0, right? So we just did a gentleman's agreement, and we're like, okay, whoever wins the first game just takes it all, right? So he did his usual like Emerald Steel plays. He probably resolved like 3 Diablos in one game. And I got so lucky because I opened two Be Prepareds, right? And he took one out with an Ursula Deceiver, and I resolved that Be Prepared. I dropped the castle, and I kept top decking Be Prepareds, and I resolved 4 Be Prepareds that game, and castle just took me to the win.
My goodness!
And I was like, I'm so sorry, Dale. Like I just kept like top decking, and he had all
One
the
of
usual like
those
good
top
stuff
deck it out.
too.
They ripped it out. They just top deck it
I
out.
would not have won that if it wasn't for those top decks, because he had everything. He had like Morph into Bees. He had like Tinkerbells, 2 Prince Johns, right? He resolved 4 Diablos. It was insane, man. So shout out to Dale.
Bro, how do you beat a crazy board? You just clear it.
Yeah, you just clear
And you do it again.
and you chill with the location.
Because they're not expecting it. They're not expecting it, and they're gonna go full commit on the board.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Do it again.
My hand was gone, right? I was just top decking.
Oh my god, that's crazy. I know that feeling.
You're insane, bro.
I hate that feeling. That feeling, especially when playing against like
Wait,
a
to be on what side of that?
the receiving end of the Be Prepared. I hate that feeling because of Cam, one of our friends. Whenever I play against him, I get the hand check. I get the Diablo hand check first. Like, okay, he doesn't have it, so I'm not dropping my Ursula.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not gonna waste the Ursula. And then he'll drop Be Prepared like right after. And I'm like, what? Or I would like hand rip him to the ground. I would go, Ursula's double swing, sudden chill, draw 2 cards with a John. And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty comfortable. I'm like, yeah, he has no cards left in his hand. Okay, let's go wide. Let's drop the other John. Let's drop a Morph down just to kind of shift it into something else later. And then he would top like Be Prep. I'm like, you serious? It happens to me every game. Like where I ripped your hand apart, I checked your hand, and then I get B prepped on the turn after. Like it's like half the time it's on 7 too. It's literally on 7, and I get ripped apart.
Every single time I see that happening, I always hear Baker from Lorcana Villain just screaming, "Be prepared!" in my head.
Just be prepared. Yeah.
So funny.
No, bro, Tom, it's funny. You're like, dude, I was just discarding his whole hand, and he plays this one card, and I just lost it.
I just lost everything. I was like, you serious? Oh my god, I wish those were recorded back in the day.
Man.
That was like before I started this whole recording setup, but if that was recorded, that would have been hilarious. Because it was just me raging across the table, like, you always do this to me. Like, like our friendship's on the line here. How dare you do this to me?
Friendship's on the line.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
for playing green steel.
Yeah, you're discarding my hand, dude.
You're like, bro, it's nothing compared to what you did to me.
Yeah, it's just as bad,
Oh,
honestly. It's an eye for an eye.
Yeah. All right, so we are running out of time here, but before we wrap things up, Alvin, was there anything else that you wanted to cover on this podcast? Anything else that, like, for tips or pointers you want to give to anyone else watching?
Yeah. So big pointer. Say, if you're planning on doing one of these big events, if you can't make it to LCQ or Nats, the big event that's coming up, if you can make it to any upcoming DLCs next year or your set champs, you have to remember that even though you are competitive, it resonates with you, then awesome. Even though you are competitive, remember to have fun. It's a game. Have fun. There's another person on the other side of that table that's playing you, and that also has feelings, emotions, and is there to win, but is going through stuff sometimes. So just be kind, have fun with the games, and yeah. That's just like my final message. Just enjoy the game, build something that you enjoy, play it, and have fun with it.
I love it. And that's like
can't end on a better message, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't have said it better. Like, I think that's probably the best, tip and advice to give to other people. Because like, if there's one thing that I could say about the Lorcana community is that like everyone is very nice. Like, super nice. They're not super toxic. They're really nice. They're really welcoming. And that was kind of like one thing that stuck out to me. When I first started playing, I was like, wow, like it's so nice to have conversations with people. Like you can make so many friends, right? And I'm sure like you've probably experienced the same thing, right, Elvin?
Yeah, you're not fearful that someone's gonna flip the table after you beat them, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a great feeling.
Well, that's because you're not sitting down doing like a combo for like 20 minutes and then you're watching your opponent play solitaire, right?
What do you mean you beat prep?
No. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Inkcaster's Den.
Thanks for coming on, Elvin.
Go check out LOREGAINZ down in the description. Give him a sub. Give us a sub too. We're pretty new to this, so he'll probably have more subs than we do. But give us both some love. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Ink it down, and tap it out. And that's all we got for this one. We'll see you all
for joining us,
in
guys.
the next one.
Guys, thank you for having me. Appreciate you guys. Peace.